Welcome everyone to the TCB Podcast. Today, we are speaking about how business development really works in clinical research space and how connections between sponsors and CROs are evolving. I'm joined today by Alex, current director of business development at IQVIA, with a diverse background across CROs like clinical and as well experience in law and academia. Alex, it's great to have you here. I would love to start with you introducing yourself and maybe tell us, please, a little bit about your journey, how you got into clinical research and what led you to where you are today.
Okay, well, thanks so much for this, and it's a pleasure to be here. And the first thing that I want to say is that canonically, and by numbers, I am not the traditional person you can find in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm not a pharmacist, not a biochemist. I just arrived here because 15 years ago, I had the wild decision to move to the UK, to live in London, and to start a career there. Also pursuing new opportunities as things were not going great worldwide, right? And thanks to that, I started working closely with CROs. I can proudly say that I've been working with the majority of them. Some of them don't exist anymore. Some of them are bits and pieces of other ones because of so many mergers over the years. And little by little, as I was originally a headhunter in the pharmaceutical industry, working with clinical development roles and all the other roles collaterals to that, I made a name in the market. I was well known in different countries because I was the go-to person if you wanted to work for X, Y, or Z company. And then finally that landed me a role as a lecturer in clinical monitoring, so in a master degree in clinical trials, and then afterwards a master degree in for MSLs, so for medical scientific liaisons. And thanks to that as well, I continue growing in the ladder. I joined a business intelligence firm called Prescient Healthcare Group, and then I move on from there to my first global CRO as a permanent employee, which was clinical. And there I was very embedded in the FSP structure as a director of FSP and business developer. One thing led to the other. I became a business developer full-time as a senior business developer for them, knowing a lot of clients and participating proactively in bids, in proposals, but for the most in wild hunting, going out there, finding clients, fighting against a million people trying to get the same type of bids. And then obviously with time, I thought that it was time for a great move, for moving to a larger company. And that's how I landed January last year in IQVIA, where I'm very happy and obviously performing a role in the largest CRO in the market. No? So this is a little bit about me.
Okay, thanks, Alex, so much. Really interesting journey. And let's start with business development, since now you're currently working in a business development team. So from your experience, how do CROs typically receive new opportunities today? And is it more through existing relationships or maybe like conferences, referrals, or more like formal processes like RFPs and RFIs?
I mean,
please share.
Let's say that it is well known in the market that each different client, pharmaceutical company, biotech, probably are targeting for a strategic partnership, a different type of company. So if we are talking about a large CRO and they have existing partnerships and they have well-known dynamics when it comes to RFPs and the way they process it and their large programs, it's very mechanical in many cases. RFPs arrive through an inbox, maybe even a designated email, and then get processed and funnel internally within the companies. If we are talking about a mid-size to small size or local CRO, it's slightly different. And those partnerships with large companies can still be there. But for the most, it's a proactive engagement. So you need to speak to different clients, different stakeholders, obviously go for people you have spoken to in the past, and obviously as well, trying to see what's your pipeline, who have you worked with, and trying to proactively engage. In business development, the mantra will always be keep moving forward. Like Rocky Balboa, no? Keep moving forward, keep fighting against the odds, knock so many doors and receive a lot of no's. That looks like an Amy Winehouse song, no? But never give up and continue because at the end of the day, rewards will be there and efforts will pay.
Yeah, because finally, once day, the doors will be opened.
Yeah, definitely. And let's be fair, this is quite seasonal. Sometimes markets are pointing in one direction. Sometimes it looks like, the new flamboyant thing to do is to work in a specific model, like when risk-based monitoring arrive or before decentralized trials and in-house monitoring, et cetera, et cetera. So there's always a hot topic. Obviously, the one on the table right now is AI and everything that has to go around AI. And only last year, I've been on 14, 15 conference and panels regarding AI, agentic AI, AI hallucinations. At this point, I'm not sure if I'm myself or a template, right? But a super mind. So yeah, it's always up to be there and being on the trend and being on these different topics.
I believe we will speak about AI a little later, but yeah,
Of
definitely
course.
nowadays it's just like top topic for each company.
Yes.
So it's really interesting. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially like in such a relationship driven industry here. And Alex, I would like to move into something maybe closely related to that the industry still relies heavily on networking events and also conferences to build relationships between sponsors and CROs. And from your side, from your perspective, do you think that this model is still efficient today? Or maybe are we starting to see some limitations here?
I would rather answer.
Let's speak about like the mid-sized CROs and also the big one.
Okay, so I would rather answer absolutely yes. Meeting people face to face always pays back, always. And I know that we are very focused many times on mailing campaigns, LinkedIn posts, all of that is good. But everyone is trying that. Knowing the person, knowing who's out there, knowing who is potentially struggling with something, in the need of help, or who maybe is not able to know you because you are one of so many emails on a spam folder. Whereas if you go there and you meet somebody face to face, you are relatable and you are a person they can like or dislike, or maybe it's not the right time, but at least they can see and you can see them. I will 100% insist conferences are absolutely useful. However, that always comes with proper planning, understanding what's your market, what's your scope of work, which league are you playing on? Are you planning to tackle the big ones, the mid-size, the small ones, the biotechs? Which countries, which regions, which sectors are you more focused on? Again, biosimilars, which was a hot topic not so far ago, medical devices, any segment, for example, from drug safety to back-end services, etc., etc. So obviously, make a good work at home, understanding where do you want to go, where is the money going, where is the investment going, and then after the conference, obviously, make a return of investment analysis, as in how many people have I spoken to, was it the right place, is it the right venue, are they attracting the right amount of clients I want to speak, is this a vendor fest where 75 vendors are tackling the same person because there's not so many people. So don't forget that each opportunity is a golden ticket to success, but by all means, you need to be cautious on where the money goes.
Okay, I see that conferences is like must. And specifically on that, like sometimes or maybe mostly in our clinical research industries, conferences, they can be very expensive and not always accessible. So how can smaller or even like mid-sized CROs realistically compete in that environment? And do you think that this model needs to evolve to become more inclusive? Because for big sponsors or for big CROs, obviously it's fine. Okay, we can spend money on this. But when we speak about small or mid-sized CROs,
I mean, conference is a business. It's a company behind an events company organizing the event, and obviously, in many cases, fostering that people know each other, fostering also that there's a good amount of sponsors nurturing the conference from an attendee perspective, but also providing the backing, the funding for the conference to continue carrying on. And again, we go back to the same place. Are they expensive? It all adds up to the value you get once you are done with the conference. Is the return of investment pays back and pays for the next 20 years? Obviously, it is a gamble, right? It's like a dart in the dark. You don't know. But if you have done your homeworks, if you know your space, if you know who's going. If you prepare really well beforehand, now conferences have lots of ways of interacting with people, platforms of their own where you don't need to go through LinkedIn and hundreds of spreadsheets seeing who's going, who's not, is this email valid or not. Forget about it. You have many ways of profiting a conference. And look, in the worst case scenario, there are many local networking events. You can start small, stem from there, funnel your abilities to know new people and get, I don't know if endorsed, invited, suggested to go to other forums where you will know at least the people you want to meet will be there. So you don't need to be always spending the most. You can sometimes invest in doing these small drop-ins of efforts by going here and there to smaller events and then scale up from there.
Yeah, let's even start with a small one, not so expensive, but okay. It's really important point, and especially as more smaller players now enter our space. So looking ahead a bit, I would love to get your source, your vision on where these things are going. Do you think that we will start to see more digital platforms? Now we are coming back to AI, like AI-driven solutions, connecting sponsors and also CROs, instead of maybe fully relying mainly on conferences and on personal networks. So here we will have got like two options, AI platforms and plus, in addition to it, maybe, of course, in-person connections.
I think the
But like
pandemic...
the most driven will be the platforms.
Yes, so the pandemic showed us that we can host a conference virtually. People were at home, we were locked down, from kids not being able to go to school to many people starting to, if they were not used to, work remotely, home working, no? So on that basis, there were a lot of virtual conferences and they were a good chance for many people to know each other, to interact, and to create and discover new platforms, new ways of exchanging opinions. Is that going to be the future? In my humble opinion, and maybe call me old-fashioned, I'm not sure if I'm getting already back into I just would like to go back to the good old days, right? But I hope we can still meet face-to-face. And I hope we can always attend conference wherever they are. Many of them, not because of the pleasure of traveling to an exotic country, but because of the fact of connecting with human beings. I always say that in this business, and this is something I learned from a very seasoned professional that had been working in the pharmaceutical industry for over 35 years. So in this business, you buy on people, especially if you are a smaller, mid-sized, local, or biotech company. Okay, so mid-sized pharmas, local pharmas, biotech companies, you definitely need your projects to be in the good hands of someone you can rely on. And for that reason, face-to-face interactions, knowing the people is very useful. Now, once said that, tracing a line in the sand, I definitely think that virtual conference offer the opportunity to join from many different locations, to be respectful with limitations, to have the chance to, like e-learning, get back to whatever was said, could be recorded, etc., etc. So it has its advantages, but I like more the old-fashioned model.
Okay, it's obviously that anyway, we will still continue have got our in-person meetings, our in-person conferences, so that we can communicate more closely with each other. But the reason why I'm asking this is because I also have been thinking about its platforms that could act almost like marketplaces, let's say, where sponsors and where based on their experiences, based on their therapeutic areas focus, based on maybe their past trials and capabilities. So do you think that maybe sometimes something like this platform, they could realistically work in our industry? Or we can just only rely on the conferences?
That's the thing. I'm always seeing this from the angle of somebody who offers services, okay? I can impersonate a pharmaceutical vendor, procurement person, a clinical development director and above, desperate to think which could be our partner for the future. I can maybe try to role play that. From a vendor's perspective, I feel this market is very small and pretty much all companies are well known in many aspects. New joiners have to fight against the tides and get into the competitiveness that these markets imply. And for that reason, again, the best thing that somebody who's joining new can do is rather than being a banner or an advert in a website or a platform saying, we are here, check if you want to know what we can do for you, is to proactively engage, to offer themselves, to commercialize, market their services on a way, on a forum, with an audience that can maybe listen.
Okay. So anyway, definitely not digital platforms, not AI. They will change our human relationship. They will not be like replaced because anyway, we're all humans and we need to have got our close relationship in person.
On a way, they might replace it, but only on the...
Not fully.
Never fully, and by all means on fields, which in any case is better to go with a professional. But for example, marketing could be done brilliantly with AI because at least if you don't have funding, if you are struggling, you can find yourself pulling out a nice design for commercial or a post or whatever. Likewise, templated emails for first approach, brainstorming ideas, all that type of work with a human brain behind, somebody curating the information, funneling what the AI is suggesting, and bespoking this approach to whoever they have to reach could be useful and cheaper. Initially cheaper, especially if you're struggling or you're starting or you want to get a name in the market, but you cannot scale up or pay a panoply of services to support you. But I still feel that professionals are still going to be much better than AI, at least at this point. In the future, who knows?
Yeah, but anyway, it also depends on the industry where you work and where you would like to implement AI. Because sometimes I also notice that a lot of companies, not most, but few of them, they just started to say AI, we implementing AI, we can use AI, but actually they don't know how to use AI in their main focus of their main business. They just saying it because it's popular, because it's a trend. Like you also earlier mentioned, for example, in marketing, yes, it's rather useful tool. But anyway, when we have got our development, our business development, our relationship between humans, obviously we will need to have got the conferences and plus our digital platforms. Yes, it will be useful. But I don't think so. The same, they will replace. So, Alex,
Hopefully
I would
not.
like, hopefully, yeah. So, Alex, before we finish, I would like also to ask you maybe some advices for smaller CROs trying to win new business today. What is one thing they should be doing differently?
I mean, because I don't know all of them, right? But parting on the basis on how competitive this market is, my biggest advice will be invest. Invest in whatever you are lacking. If you are lacking subject matter expertise, just spare some budget to hire a subject matter expert, somebody who can shine and you can show in front of your clients. If you feel that you are not strong enough in a country, invest into creating new boundaries and building bridges with that country in particular. And by all means, if you have the funding, remember, it's not a matter of trying what you are already doing. It's a matter of being creative and thinking outside the box. Once said that, stick to quality as the main forefront activity you need to deliver. If you are good, even if you are with a reduced amount of clients or an intimate amount of pipeline and portfolios, you will be good. And that will speak volumes for yourself. Okay. And finally, never give up. Continue trying. Markets change. Large, small, mid-sized companies have all of them their problems at different scales, at different levels. Barriers are there for everyone. Just keep trying. You will get there.
Okay, Alex, this has been really insightful and very nice conversation with you. And again, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your thoughts. And thanks to everyone listening. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it. And we will see you in the next one. Thank you, Alex.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.